Hey everyone, welcome to the results announcement of the B&M Wing Coaster Contest. In this contest, every player had to build a B&M Wing Coaster using these custom vehicles. So we don't often use custom vehicles in our contest, but sometimes I allow one of them. And I think this is a very special type of coaster. I've ridden a few of these myself, and they're always really fun. They always have great interaction with the landscape. Okay, there were 18 finished entries in this round. I'll actually start with one that was unfinished. It's not in the ranking, but I just want to show it because it has some really cool tricks. Okay, here's the entry from Enox and Manticore. They actually tried to recreate Raptor, wing coaster in Gardaland. So it's a very cool layout with some really cool interaction with the landscape. But the reason I want to show this entry is just because it has all these cool little details. So for example, this gate over here, I think it looks really nice. It has all these cool track texture, but also these cool decorations in the form of these Q televisions. Also these plants, these pillars here, and also this part over here. I think it looks great. So I think this is the transfer track. There's all these yellow and black striped areas, and it just looks really cool. You can see the storage track right under here. Yeah, especially the usage of these signs here is really cool. This is just a sign with all these slashes. But the yellow and black just makes it look like some sort of grating or like one of these safety tapes. So yeah, it's very cool details here. Really sad they were not able to finish it. They both just didn't have enough time this month. But yeah, the part that they did build is just really cool. Okay, in last place we have this entry from the Cloud QC. Well, yeah, it's a little bit chaotic. Well, a little bit. It's very chaotic. Yeah, what you should probably not do as when you're building a steel coaster is pack it in supports. It will make it kind of difficult to follow the layout, especially in the lower parts, and it will make it look quite messy. Yeah, the palette that's used in this map also doesn't really help. It just makes the map look very gloomy. Also, it's just packed with stuff which is all explained with signs, but often the signs don't really help to explain what's going on. So a ride now is breaking down. Before you save the park, it's probably a good idea to press renew rides, and then when people open it, the rides won't immediately break down. So yeah, what I can recommend is just not to just pack your entire map with stuff. Give it some breathing space. It's just really difficult to spot. Yeah, to focus on anything here. Yeah, it definitely could use some nice details here and there. But yeah, mostly just try to limit the amount of stuff you put in the park. I mean, it's a ride creation contest, but in this small area there's 3 coasters. It kind of takes away from which should be the main attraction, which is the wing coaster here. Okay, here we have the entry from Bob Kenny Unicorn. He made this wing coaster over here, not too tall. It's in this small layout here. Now, something which I often recommend to people is not to use the rock floor too much. It usually looks nicer if you use some either some dirt, sand, grass, and it's usually a good idea to use these rocks in moderation. Just use them for some hilly areas or mix them with other textures, and that generally will improve the way it looks. It's called the Fall. Yeah, also for this for a wing coaster, it's usually nice if it interacts with the scenery landscape around it. It actually kind of does that here in the form of these keyholes over here. Maybe some more interaction would have been nice here. Maybe also an extra inversion or two could have been nice. I think a loop would have fit here nicely, or even a barrel roll right over here, where it still has quite some speed. The map does also have some cool stuff. For example, I really like this windmill that he put here on this. Looks like a Vekoma Junior boomerang. This is actually a really cool decoration. Decorations like this really add value to your park for the viewer. So that might be a good thing to focus on more for your main attraction as well. Another thing that you should probably do before you save the park is just water the plants. There's a handy cheat for that, which you can find here, water plants. Then save it and then let the viewer watch the park, and that will make it look much more cheerful. Okay, this entry is from Boracay Flavor. Now, instead of a wing coaster, he built a pair of dueling woodies. No, I'm just kidding, the wing coaster is actually over here. But most of the map consists of these dueling woodies. Almost makes me think that he built this entry for the dueling woody contest, which we had several months ago. But yeah, for these contests, it's usually a good idea, I think, to actually make the main attraction the attraction which you have to build for the contest instead of a different attraction. Well, yeah, for the wing coaster, yeah, it kind of has a strange layout. So the station is over here in this building, then it goes up the lift hill here. Then there's this weird loop here, so he used like a large half loop here and then a small half loop. Well, for normal cars, I think that's acceptable, especially if you block the view from the other side. But for a wing coaster, yeah, these cars are really wide. So if you then use a track that almost clips, yeah, it just looks like the car just clips through itself here. Especially with these really wide vehicles, you really should take into account the spacing on the vehicles. So the layout of this wing coaster is really short, also really fast here. I do like this keyhole that he made here with this building. And then here there's a brake section, and there's a big drop back into the station. So yeah, that just makes me think the coaster is probably a bit too fast here. And the layout is probably a bit too short for people to rate it highly. But yeah, the dueling woodies, they look really good. So yeah, I think he actually spent more time on making the woodies look nice than he did on the wing coaster. So the scenery in the park does look really nice. Something that I really like is how he did the foliage in the park, and also stuff like this little bridge here. That's also really cool. Okay, this is the entry from A Good Samaritan. He made this big wing coaster here, which duels with itself. So over here is the station. It leaves here, and there are several block sections throughout the track, which ensure that the timing for this dueling is done correctly. So it will wait here, and then it will wait for, I believe, for this train to pass the block break, and then they will duel. The trains will duel with each other throughout this section of the track here. You can see it leave now, and they both go through this launch, and then yeah, they interact with each other here. Now the clearance between these tracks is quite small in some cases. I think it's something to take into account when building a coaster like this. I think the interaction between the rides is actually done quite well. They pass through these elements at a good with good timing when you look at both of them. Now I just noticed this observation tower. When you build one like this, I think it's a good idea to not make it as tall as it is now. Kind of makes it look unrealistic. I generally try to keep them a little bit smaller. But for this coaster, yeah, for this part of the park, it's just a forest with the coaster passing over it. What I always like to do is to limit the amount of trees right under the coaster supports a bit. I think it's a bad idea to actually put trees right under the coaster, especially in places where the supports would normally be. For example, you could also place some, for example, some sand under it. or a different texture. But yeah, that will just make it look like, for example, like someone could drive under it to inspect the coaster track or something like that. And something which I think would also make this coaster better is right now it just looks a bit like it ignores the landscape in this part. I do like it in this part, for example, where it digs into this trench here. So here it actually makes use of the landscape. Here it's quite high above it. And there's also two other coasters here. Now, when you make a coaster like this for a contest, I can recommend not to place too many coasters in your park. Just like the entry from the Cloud QC. I think having too many big coasters in your park really detracts from the main attraction. Probably just place it a little bit more, make it the centerpiece of the park, and maybe one extra coaster would be nice. And then also try to place some other rides, maybe some other tracked rides. I think it will look very cool. So overall, yeah, this part of the park is pretty nice. I think this part of the park is a little bit boring because there's only trees here next to the coaster. But still, the dueling aspect of the coaster is pretty cool. Okay, here's the entry from Hankard. Now, I believe he built this part of the park for a bigger NCSO park, and then he just added this coaster to it. Now, I don't think it was an entry that was too serious, especially if you look at all the guests that he put here in this park. So the wing coaster is I think that's actually pretty nice. Kind of starts off like the coaster Phoenix at Toverland, except with a few more helixes. I think it could have used another inversion here at the end, because after these two inversions it's quite a boring layout with only helixes. Yeah, probably could have used an extra inversion here. But still, the station of the ride, I think it's pretty cool. It's quite a simple building, but I like how he put these volcanoes here in the side, and also these roof structures. I think they also look really cool. And of course, these buildings here outside the park, they're also really nice. This is some really clean NCSO. I really like that. And apparently there's also some dinosaurs here on these rails. Okay, here's the entry from the Shack. He also went for a dueling wing coaster. So here's the two lift hills for the coaster. Now they're actually quite far apart, but with some tricks he made them duel against each other. Yeah, not really sure about the wooden supports that he used for this coaster. That's something you normally don't really see, wooden supports under a steel coaster. But also it just makes it look very dense. Typically when you see a steel coaster, it's very open. But yeah, for the dueling, I really like how they both do their first drop here, passing right over one another. I think it's more clear from this angle how it's done. But from this angle, I think it looks really cool. So I like how this one goes through a loop, the other one passes through it. And then they both sort of go their own way until finally here in this section, they pass through these interlocking corkscrews. This section actually looks pretty cool. Well, I think for a wing coaster, it's probably a good idea to make sure that you don't make inversions that are too tight. Not really sure if these corkscrews are a good idea. But still, like I said, the dueling part is really cool, especially this first drop here. Something which would have probably been nice is some more interaction with the landscape. Now, for example, I think he did do it really nicely here with this bridge, which it just fits under. That's really tight. That's the kind of interaction you want with these wing coasters. Here's another one of these elements. Maybe it would have been nice to also see one of those sideways keyholes. That's something that will always look really good on a wing coaster. Now, something which I think the Shack also did really well is the foliage here in the middle. I like the way it looks, and it's also pretty cool with these little buildings sticking out. Okay, here's the entry from Things on Tracks. Now I think he actually made quite a good layout for his wing coaster. So here's the lift hill. That's a nice first drop. There's a bit of a hill going into this loop here, and here's another inversion. It's all spaced out quite nicely, so it's really easy to see where the train will be going. And yeah, it's a nice diversity of elements here. So I think the layout is pretty good, especially here in the first half. And the second half, it passes under and over these ruins here. Here's a helix. Here's a barrel roll. So a really good diversity of elements. I really like that. So these ruins here, I think they look really cool. Also with these with this ghost train passing through it. That's really nice. This transfer track here, I think it does look a little bit flimsy. Probably it could have used some beefier support. Yeah, for the station of the coaster, yeah, to be honest, I'm not a really big fan of it. Yeah, I just think it looks kind of strange with the wooden structure around it and these supports on the inside. Yeah, I think it could have used more, a look that makes it look a little bit beefier. Maybe also with a queue visible on both sides of the station. Now there's some other rides in the park as well. Here's a little coaster, probably for the kids. And here's one of those suspended swinging coasters with a really nice support structure. And for some reason, a church as a station. Now, when you have a big grassy area like this, I always recommend to just mow the grass before you save it. I think that makes grass look much more appealing. And when you have a building out here like this in the middle of the grass, something which I like to do is just put some, just frame the building with some bushes or some gardens, you know. I think generally that will make your buildings in the grass look much nicer, especially when the grass is not mown, but also with mowed grass. I think it looks pretty cool. Now, of course, I only use one kind of plant now, but you could mix it with some gardens and other stuff. But yeah, that's just my preference. For the entrance of the park, it's probably a good idea to hide these park fences. So I just select the tile, go to surface, remove park fences. I think it looks better. I'm not really sure if these they actually do work. It doesn't look like the path's actually connected to the outside of the edge of the land. Okay, yeah, something else which I kind of liked was this pirate ship, which is here with a twist on the inside of it. So yeah, overall a pretty cool park. Alright, here's the entry from Swarm Queen Alley. Now, newcomer. Now, this is quite a compact layout. I kind of like it. So here's the station. You can see queues on both sides, or at least it looks like that. There's a steep lift hill. Then it goes down through this half loop, and then there's a full loop, and then there's this tight spiral here. Now, I don't think this tight spiral here is a good idea, because this is probably the point where the coaster is going the fastest throughout the layout. So then this tight spiral would be a good place for the guests to faint. So yeah, probably would have been better here with either a wider turn or maybe just immediately go upwards here. Now, for the other part, the layout is quite fast, but again, it does have a nice diversity of elements, so that's cool. Now here the coaster passes over this dirt go tracks. I don't believe these dirt go tracks are actually racing anymore. You could see the guests who want to get out. Yeah, this happens when you make your station of the ride too short. But probably this last vehicle is actually behind the station, and that's why this ride will never register that the race has actually ended. So yeah, always be careful with adding more vehicles to your go-karts. If it's usually better to actually increase the length of the station a bit to prevent it from getting stuck like this. Now the coaster also passes over this dirt go track, but these supports, they're actually in the middle of these go-karts, so maybe that's the reason why they are not allowed to drive. So when you pass over a different ride, always make sure that your supports don't go through the track. It looks kind of silly. Now there were some other cool rides here as well, some other nice buildings. I really like these dudgeons here in these sea containers. Yeah, also for, some towels here, all that kind of stuff, volleyball net, some little playground here on the beach. So yeah, lots of cool stuff can be found here throughout the park. And all these nice little details really make it look like a cozy park. I really like all the stuff you can find here on the beach. Okay, here's the entry from Saffy Adam. He made this wing coaster here on the coast. So here's a launch track. Then it goes up into these 3 inversions right over the cliff edge, passing right by it. Then here there's some curves again, and then the rest of the layout is quite tame compared to the beginning. Here it just passes, it just has some airtime hills before it goes into the brakes here. Yeah, I saw some of the reviews, and some people were saying that it probably would have been nice if the second half of the layout was a little bit more exciting. I think it would have been easy, for example, to add another barrel roll here. I think that would have been really nice, especially with since there's these straight parts of track here already. Yeah, I think it would have been easy to add that in. I do like the support footers that he made here, just using these base blocks. Also the queue for it is also pretty nice. Now he actually also made his first shoestring rides, that's pretty cool. Also some diagonal paths here. I think diagonal parts always look nice in your park. Some extra rides here, and a really boxy lighthouse. I believe he actually recreated a lighthouse that exists. That also looks pretty boxy. Here's a lobster pond, looks like. Or maybe that's the name of the coaster. It is. Lobster pound. Excuse me. An iron brew stall. Yeah, just lots of fun stuff in the park. Some nice decorations. And I think his foliage has really improved throughout all his contest entries. So yeah, really nice entry from Saffy Adam. Okay, then we get the entry from Lurker. And once again, he went for a smaller map. So here's the station of the coaster. It drops down, then already it has its first inversion. Now I really like how it moves up here and the supports move down, just to give the coaster, actually give the coaster space to do its rotation with these wide cars. It does that in several parts of the track, and I really like that interaction with its own supports. So quite a tall, steep lift hill here. May have been a little bit too tall for this small map. I do like how it goes up this little hill here and drops down here. Another inversion. Yeah, quite a twisty layout, several helixes, and then here already it slams into the brakes. So yeah, quite a big lift hill, but a really short layout, and that's probably why it got this score. But yeah, the details in the map, I think they're really nice. A little transfer track here with a storage track. Maybe would have been nice to see this covered. Yeah, also some really cool little buildings here. Looks like a little church or market building. Yeah, here's a really nice station building. So with some cool little details, lots of windows. Small Ferris wheel here. And there's also an ogre here. That's probably the reason for this wall in this little town. So this, I think this is a really nice and detailed entry. Yeah, just like you can expect from Lurker. I think the only thing holding it down from scoring higher is that the layout is so incredibly short. But still, for the short layout that there is, I think it looks incredibly nice. Okay, here's the entry from Supranomal. We haven't seen him for a while, so it's always nice to see players return. So he made this big layout for this wing coaster, which goes all throughout the map. So here's the station for the coaster, and this one's also a launched coaster, so you can see the launch track here. It leads into this big half loop here. And then here there's a bit of an airtime hill after that. Here there's a dive loop going under this bridge. That's some really cool interaction. Also goes under the bridge here. I probably would love to stand here like these guests just to watch this coaster go around here. Now this is something I also really like to see on wing coasters. So these are the keyholes that I mentioned before. So the coaster actually rotates here through this inversion. It goes sideways here. So here there's a slot, which a vertical slot, which the coaster cars then pass through. For wing coasters, I think that's some really good interaction to make elements like those. Now also some nice buildings in the park. Yeah, all kinds of different buildings throughout the park. Yeah, I think all in all it's pretty cool, and the landscaping in the park is also really nice. And something that I also really like is the palette that's used here. I'm always a big fan of this sunset palette. It just gives the park a really nice bit of an orange glow, and I really like that. Okay, here's the park from Rhythm. Now he actually recreated several scenes from different Star Wars movies. So right here there's a big, I believe it's a big Death Star. Here there's, not really sure, it may be the island where Luke Skywalker is in episode 8. Not really sure. Here you can see Tatooine. What I really like about this part is that you can actually sometimes see a pod race travel along this area. You can see it here. I think it makes a really good use of the vehicle hacking, probably using the right vehicle editor. Yeah, it just looks really chaotic, and it just looks really cool. So I just put the different vehicles right behind each other with some spacing between them, and it looks like they're all racing each other. This is probably one of my favorite details of the map. There are lots of cool different scenes here. It's actually quite fun watching the guests walk through the desert here. So a bit of an inside area here. Also here's a really cool part. Well, you can see an AT-AT here. I believe this is from the planet Kraith. So it's the white planet with the red stuff underneath. Pass under this big AT-AT here. And then here there's this light speed tunnel. This effect is really cool with all these signs placed here in this tunnel. Yeah, just tons and tons of really nice decorations here with all kinds of scenes from the movies. So lots of stormtroopers here. And also there's this scene inside the Death Star. I really like how he made it look like there's a planet here. Kind of like they're watching a big screen here. Now, as for the wing coaster, the layout is probably a little bit tight in some places, especially in areas like this one with this really tight spiral here. I also found some places where it looks like the coaster track is actually clipping through scenery. So that's probably something to watch out for. Now, the coaster actually travels throughout the map. Also has some dark ride elements. It really tells a story. So I thought that was really cool. So yeah, a beautiful wing coaster. Not too realistic layout, but just yeah, I think it's amazing, and I really love it. Okay, here's the entry from Captain Blackadder. Now he also hasn't joined any contests in quite a while, so it's always nice to see another player return. Now he did some really clever tricks here. So these islands are all actually on ground level, but he used perspective tricks to actually make it look like they're like these islands are high up in the sky. All these towers, yeah, they're just placed in a clever way, just to make it look like they're in the islands. And the waterfalls are also placed really nicely here. And I think the impressive thing is that it actually works from all angles. Yeah, I don't really know if I would have the patience to do something like this. But yeah, it's just a really nice optical illusion here. And yeah, I think it's just executed in a brilliant way. For example, I believe this tower here is high up in the sky. Not sure about this one. Wouldn't be surprised if some of the bottom parts of these towers are actually lower up, and some of these parts are actually really high up. It's quite mind-boggling. So I'm really impressed with this optical illusion that Captain Blackadder pulled off here in this park. Now for the wing coaster, well, it does actually have some cool interaction here in the form of some keyholes here. In some of these towers, it actually passes through straight. Then it actually does look quite tight. Not really sure if there's a way to do this in a nicer looking way than this. But yeah, overall, I think the layout is quite alright. But yeah, it clearly shows that most of his effort went into making this optical illusion look really nice. I think he did an amazing job at that. So yeah, I really hope to see more entries like these. Yeah, it's just a joy to go through this park. And yeah, like I said, I think the impressive part is that it actually works from all angles. Really impressive work from Captain Blackadder. Okay, then here the entry is from Mulder. Well, when I first saw this, my jaw just dropped to the floor. This is just amazing. Well, for not just all the structures that are here, but also the palette that he made that gives it this really weird color gradient, which I love. All these structures that he made around the track here with all these track texture elements. All the little decorations throughout the park. This spiral that travels upwards with these coaster cars along it. Yeah, here's more shoes, or maybe it's not even shoe-strung actually. But yeah, there's all these weird rides here which serve as decorations with all these crazy shapes. And the coaster just traveling around it. Yeah, this I thought this was really yeah, just amazing. I don't have any other words for it. Yeah, you can just go through this park for hours, and you would just keep finding new elements here, which you may have missed earlier. So also. Multi-dimension coaster train here, which also travels around this structure. Yeah, all these structures, they just look brilliant, and this color scheme, it just looks so crazy on all these different elements that he built. So yeah, for sure, download this park for yourself. All these entries can be downloaded from my Discord server. Discord's completely free. Yeah, definitely check out this entry. It's definitely worth it. The wing coaster layout is completely unrealistic, but this is more of a fantasy entry anyway. The structures for this coaster just look incredible, especially this lift hill. It's absolutely my favorite part. This is probably something I will look at in the future when I have to make something with some fantasy structure myself. This is just incredible. So yeah, absolutely fantastic work from Mulder. Amazing work. Okay, here's the entry from Alex RSDV. Now, this entry looks very clean. Some people said it reminded them of an entry Mackett, like Mackett would make. Yeah, if someone told me Mackett had made this, I would have believed them. Yeah, like I said, it looks very clean. Especially the paths, all these diagonal paths with these fences around them. The landscaping here is done in a really nice way. I love the foliage, all the rock work. yeah, something that I also really liked about this coaster, well, besides the custom supports, which are also incredible, but the part I really liked about this coaster is actually the tunnels that that RSDV made. These tunnels look incredible, and with the rock work around them, yeah, he actually made them look like wide tunnels that could fit one of these wide trains. So really cool looking station for the coaster. So with double queues, I believe, or maybe they only separate inside the building. Can't really see it. But yeah, definitely a really nice coaster. Great interaction as well with these little bridges here, which it also passes under. The only flaw that I could see with this coaster is that besides these 3 inversions here, the rest of the layout here is quite tame. So maybe it could have used another inversion here somewhere throughout the track. But yeah, probably a bit difficult with this diagonal part, because of course we cannot have diagonal inversions yet. But yeah, really cool entry. I was really impressed. It's nice to see RSDV back in one of our contests. I was really impressed by this entry. And of course, one last thing I want to show you is this transfer track which he made, which also looks really good. So yeah, really impressive work from RSDV. Okay, then here's the entry from me and Ovenwood. I decided to join a contest once again after a long time, and together with Ovenwood we made this entry. So it's kind of set in a post-apocalyptic theme. So we have this wing coaster here. Actually travels through these ruined buildings. We tried to make sure it has lots of interaction with the landscape. So we made lots of keyholes. For example, here it does a barrel roll. And you can see it go through this structure here, which has a helicopter on top. Then here there's another little building, kind of with these slots which are shaped like the coaster car. Yeah, like I said, we tried to make many of slots like those. I made a diagonal one here. Then here's it goes through this building. Then here's a launch track. Then it passes through, does an inversion inside this building here. Here it pops out again, does a helix around these launch towers. And then here's another barrel, probably a little bit fast. And here it has a helix and passes over pass around the station here. And then finally here's the transfer track. Fun little detail which I thought was fun to make was this transfer track. So I kind of made it look like it's on top of a scissor lift here. So that this part would be able to go down and then lead the train onto this storage track here. Now, the park also has a big bomb in the middle of the park. Yeah, we made a little Ferris wheel around it. Also an entrance here where the guests can enter the park by paying with one of their kidneys. So here's a little surgery area. Lots of guests lining up for it. So I guess they really want to enter this park. We also made some tanks in front of the park, although they're probably a little bit big compared to the guests. So yeah, we just tried to cram the entry full of funny little scenes, while still trying not to make the park too crowded. Not really sure if we succeeded in that, because it's quite full. But I tried to also have some areas with foliage. So yeah, Ovenwood and I really did our best on this park. We struggled a bit to get going, but I think in the final week it all came together. So yeah, I'm really proud of this entry, and I'm really happy we got third place with it. Like I said before, definitely download all these parks for yourself and check them out. There's just tons of little details hidden here, and we also put tons of entertainers and security guards in the park in funny little scenes. So yeah, now there's just 2 entries remaining. I will show both of these entries, and after that I will announce which one is the winner of the Wing Coaster Contest. Okay, here's the entry from Bear and Milpia. I believe Bear mostly worked on the ride layout and several other things, while Milpia did most of the work on the landscaping. Well, you can really see Milpia's touch in that. Milpia really loves making nice looking castles. So this map, of course, is no exception. No, I think they form a really great team together. Because the layout of this wing coaster, I think it looks incredible. So yeah, nice first start here with this drop, with this half loop. They kind of excavated the ground here. It looks like, and made this nice slot here, which the coaster just fits through. So it already immediately starts with some interaction with the scenery. That's really cool. A barrel roll here. Then there's an Emil, and then it passes through this building here, right in here. And here's a tunnel, which it pops out again. I really like how it passes over this waterfall here. I think that would be really cool to ride. Here it goes into a tunnel again, then it comes out and goes through this helix here. I really like the way this helix look. Here's a barrel into this building here. A really nice keyhole here again. So yeah, this great interaction with the landscaping here for this layout. This is probably one of my favorite layouts from all the entries for this contest. Well, like I said, beautiful buildings and landscaping throughout the map. Also some other cool rides like this swinging ship that they made on top of this actual ship. A little shoestring ride, also with a beautiful structure here in the middle. And all kinds of beautiful buildings here. Also a bit of a backstage area here. So a really cool entry from these guys. I think they form a great team together. Great work. Okay, and here's the final entry. This one's from Emil and Martin. They also made a beautiful layout for their wing coaster. Also in an incredible looking park. So here's the lift hill, and it goes down upside down, goes down vertically. And here it has a big diagonal section, also with another inversion. I like how it passes around these launch towers here. I also really like these curvy sections that they made in their paths and in the landscape. Looks really nice. Also a little tunnel here. Nice slot for the coaster to pass through. That's pretty cool. I also like how it passes under this bridge here. This diagonal bridge for the entrance. Now this diagonal bridge, to be honest, it does look kind of forced here in this position, but it definitely does look quite nice. The interaction is pretty cool. Something which you also see here is actually that they used the flying coaster track for this to make these inversions. I think you could see that in some more of the entries. I think that's a pretty clever trick. Because with the flying coaster track you can make these flat rolls instead of just barrel rolls. That's pretty cool. Now there's also some other nice rides in the park. These are really cool river rapids here, which are decorated really nicely. Also looks like a shoestring ride here with different kinds of vehicles. Now these paths, like I said before, I really like how they curve through the landscape. I think this is some great use of the single rail coaster track. Also great foliage in between all these path sections. I think one of the few flaws that I saw in this park was maybe the backside of this station, which looks quite bland. But yeah, it wouldn't be visible to the guests anyway, except when they're riding this coaster. But the rest of the park, in my eyes, just looks amazing. So it's incredible work from Emil and Martin. Once again, a very beautiful entry. Okay, now that we've seen all the entries, I think it's time to reveal which entry is the winner of the B&M Wing Coaster Contest. So the winner of the B&M Wing Coaster Contest is... Bear and Milpia. Yeah, these last two entries both were really nice. I think this one had the better ride layout. But still, both were really incredible in their own ways. It's nice to see Bear and Milpia win a contest for once. I think Milpia really deserved it. But yeah, both of these players did an amazing job at this park. Like I said, incredible ride layout, incredible landscaping. This entry just has it all. So yeah, I think we got a lot of really nice entries for this contest. I personally enjoyed joining one of these contests again. I think it was really fun. So yeah, a new contest will start in a few days. I hope to see many of you join it. A lot of people will be busy with a contest on a different Discord. So if you're new to our Discord, I think this is your time to shine. Alright, I hope you all enjoyed these entries. I hope you enjoyed this video. And I'll see you again in the next one. See you later.